Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now.
Good Friday evening to you. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Today, of course, is a great day. Sunny skies, comfortable temperatures, about as good as it's going to get for early to mid-January. Of course, our next storm system is on deck for late tonight and into tomorrow. You realize it's the third storm this week. We had the Sunday snowstorm. We had the rain, wind, snow, flooding storm on Wednesday. This next one late tonight, more so tomorrow, is going to be sort of similar. The big story, if you haven't heard already, is the high tide. High tide could reach record levels. Historic flooding is in the forecast. So we'll talk a lot about that coming up in just a second here. The flood stage in Portland may actually get up over 14 feet. That may eclipse the Great Blizzard in 1978 for the highest tide on record. We'll have to see if that verifies. In addition to that, we have snow changing to rain, mostly rain at the coastline, strong winds. There could be some power outages, some problem drainage flooding is a possibility as well. If your basement flooded perhaps a few days ago, there is that potential for tomorrow as well. It looks to me like most of the action is going to be during the morning through about midday, but things should start to improve during the afternoon. The mountains, some of the ski resorts should benefit from snowfall. There'll be spots to get over a half foot of snow out of this one, over the higher elevations, of course. But there's no question the flooding is going to lead headlines. So let's spend some time and talk about how that's going to go down here. You know, to be honest with you, this is a lot of folks have been saying, "How, Charlie, this is just a massive storm, right?" I mean, that's what's producing the flooding. Well, the reality is it's really bad luck. It's not an exceptionally major storm. It's a big one and a respectable storm at that. But what's happening here is we have the highest tide of the month and one of the highest of the winter just due to the full moon cycle. And even without a storm, we'd have to entertain the idea of some minor coastal flooding. Now you add in a surge on top of that. That's why we're going to have the problems and potentially historic flooding tomorrow around midday. So let's waste no time and jump into this. I won't keep you too long here. It's Friday night after all. Here's the graphic I made, just kind of outlining what I went through here. The tide is 12:05. And that potentially could be the highest tide on record in Portland. Those records go back to 1912. Now, it's the highest tide of the month due to the new moon cycle here. It's 11.2 feet. Now, you add in a strong east to southeasterly wind, there'll be a storm surge with that. And that should bring us up around 3 feet for a storm surge, maybe a little bit more. And that should bring the tide to 14.3 feet. The current record, the blizzard of 78, is 14.17 feet. And the tide we had on Wednesday in Portland this past Wednesday is the number 3 spot, and that was 13.8 feet. So this tide tomorrow midday is expected to be higher than the tide we had Wednesday morning. Now, in addition to that, the waves tomorrow are expected to be 13 to 17 feet. Now, why is that important? Well, we're going to have flooding in areas that get big waves. That could produce even more damage simply because you have waves crashing on maybe houses or structures. So significant infrastructures damage is possible in this high tide. So not only are we talking about major flooding, but significant beach erosion. That's going to be an issue as well. Significant splash over with these waves crashing, and significant infrastructure damage is possible as well. It's all around the time of high tide at about noon tomorrow. So that's how it's expected to go down. In a perfect world, I mean, if everything works out, maybe we'll end up less than the forecast tide of 14.3 feet. But if anything, the Weather Service keeps bringing that number up just a little bit each and every day here. So where does this going to fall in as far as historic tides go? Well, there's a lot of big storms on this list. The 14.17 foot tide I just told you about, that was the February 7th blizzard in 1978. That was the blizzard that the end of the Old Orchard Pier was knocked off due to the high tide. So the end of the pier fell into the ocean in that storm. The third high tide was Wednesday. Look at that, 13.84 feet. We saw all the problems with that one. If there's any good news, the waves are not expected to be quite as big as that Wednesday storm. There were 23-foot waves recorded at Portland Buoy that morning. I was down at Portland Headlight. It was wild. It almost felt fake just looking at the waves. It just, usually, you're looking down at the ocean. It felt like the waves are coming up and looked like they were going to crash on you, but it was pretty wild. The waves were crashing on the headlight, and it blew out the door, and they had some more damage there at Fort Williams. Regardless, though, another big storm on the list here, the blizzard, January 4th, 2018. You might remember that one. I sure do. We had the Grinch storm. That was December 23rd, 2022. So just about a year and a month ago. December 4th, 1990. Don't remember that one. I don't remember the 76 storm. I'm pretty sure the November 20th of 45 or November 3rd. It might be the November 20th one. That might have been the nor'easter that brought 51 inches of snow in Randolph, New Hampshire. That was a U.S. record for a while for the most snow in a 24-hour period for a non-mountain location. It was a U.S. record for a long, long time. It was right along Route 2 in an old farmhouse over by was it Lowe's General Store that's out there? So that road that kind of goes back, and I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but that old farmhouse recorded the most snow in a 24-hour period, 51 inches. And that was a U.S. record for a long time. I'm pretty sure it was that November 20th storm in 1945. And the Patriots Day storm, that April 16th, 07, I'm pretty sure that's the Patriots Day storm. I remember that one well. All right, we talked about the pier being knocked off in the 78 blizzard. There it is. I dug up the old video, and there it is. This is the 1978 blizzard video, CBS 13, Fox 23 video. It was actually WGME video at the time, of course. Look at the cars. They just look so old, don't they? I was pretty young and don't remember it, but I wish I did. I do have pictures of me in that snowstorm, and a lot of folks do remember that around here. That was there's the pier right there. It had some damage prior to the storm, but that one, the end of the pier was knocked off. It was rebuilt 2 years later, though. So kind of interesting to look at some of that old video. So tomorrow's high tide should eclipse, based on the forecast, should be higher than the blizzard of 1978's high tide. So. All right, I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that with you this evening. All right, in addition to the high tide, there are many more variables we need to outline. In fact, most areas probably are not too concerned about the flooding simply because you live inland, right? I mean, you're worried about the snow and the rain and the wind. So let's talk about that. Winds will be strongest 5 a.m. to noon. Let's highlight 5 a.m. to noon for our strongest winds. And we're probably talking about gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. Coastal Cumberland County, coastal York County, from Casco Bay to Penobscot Bay, I think we'll get at 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. And those 40 to 50 mile per hour winds will be common, I think, up into central Maine as well. The Augusta area typically gets strong winds in this sort of setup. It's an easterly component to the wind. It's coming in right off the ocean. Farther inland, 20, 30 miles inland, we're probably talking about gusts 35 to 45 miles per hour, or probably 30 to 40 miles per hour. So that's much more manageable. The reason I bring all this up, there is the potential for power outages. If you did not have outages on Wednesday, there's a decent chance you'll probably be okay with this storm, but you never know. Hopefully all the dead branches and the trees are broken at this point. We've had a lot of storms the last couple of weeks. But yeah, there's no question the wind is going to be active, especially near the coast and up into central Maine and higher elevations in the mountains as well. We have a coastal flood warning, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We just outlined that noon high tide is expected to reach historic levels. There's your winter weather advisory. That is for areas in purple. Many of you will expect probably 3 to 6 inches of snow. Higher elevations get about 5 to 10 inches of snow. Outside of the mountains, I think a lot of that snow is going to wash away tomorrow. So inland areas start to snow overnight, but will probably transition to rain, and it gets to be that slushy mess again. And that's how we'll wake up tomorrow morning. Current look at the radar. There's the snow getting into New York. There's the rain getting down to Pennsylvania and New Jersey. It's a mature looking storm, isn't it? Its primary area of low pressure is kind of working its way right up into the Great Lakes here. There's your center of low pressure. You can kind of make out there's actually what's happening here is a little occluded front that's right down here. There's another center of low pressure right in here. Let's draw all these in. There's a warm front that goes out like this. And there's a cold front that goes something like that. And in a perfect world, at least I don't know what I would like anyway, would be a stronger high to the north, and that would hold colder air in place, but there's no high to the north. And this area of low pressure is not going to get strong, and we are not going to be able to keep a northeast wind in place. So we're going to see warm air stream in here during the morning hours tomorrow. And that's why this storm is going to look similar to Wednesday's storm, but with less precipitation. And the wind should be a little bit less windy as well. I don't want to say lighter because there's nothing about a 40 to 50 mile per hour wind that's light. All right, so the headlines go like this: coastal flooding, number one. East to southeast winds, strong winds leading to power outages, number two on the list. Heavy mountain snow, get a little wind on top of that. There could be some power outages there. That's number three. Poor drainage flooding, probably an inch to 2 inches of rain. If you had a flooded basement the other day, there's the potential you have that again tomorrow. Storm drains, I think a lot at this point have been unclogged from that last rain event. So hopefully that was the case. But yeah, I think there'll be some more problems with the flooding. And the ground's frozen now. So, get some more efficient runoff during the morning. Now to the timing of this. I think the precip gets going around, let's see, 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. I meant to start this earlier. Let's see if we can do that. Will it allow me to? No. All right. So it's going to take me to 7 o'clock in the morning. So precip, let's just walk through this together. Precip gets going 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Strongest winds probably get going around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And the winds really start to continue through about midday. After that, we'll see improvement. The backage of the precip, my guess, is moving out early afternoon, at least the accumulating precip, the heavy stuff. There might be some of that nonsense drizzle that we sometimes get as these storms pull away. But 7 o'clock in the morning, it's probably raining for Portland. It's raining for a good chunk of mid-coast Maine. Maybe over towards Rockland, you're still dealing with a little bit of snow. But there's a rain snow line somewhere near Sebago Lake. And again, that's early in the day tomorrow. It's a heavy, pasty, wet, high-density snow north of that line. So it's not going to be the, it'll stick to everything, but it's not going to be that fluffy snow we had last Sunday. Now, the battle line will be drawn probably up near the Bridgeton area, maybe on the west side of Sebago Lake, some of the hillier terrain there, going back towards Lewiston, maybe just north of Lewiston, Augusta, and this extends to the north side of Penobscot Bay at about 9 o'clock in the morning. The reason I stop it here, notice that rain snow line continues to drift off to the north. And one thing I think the model may be having a hard time with, the wind doesn't look exceptionally strong inland very early in the day. So I could see a situation where inland areas, especially up towards Augusta, Lewiston, Sebago Lake, these temperatures may be about 5 degrees cooler. If that's the case, with warmer air streaming in aloft first, you may be looking at sleet for a while. So you probably go some snow to wintry mixed sleet, or maybe freezing rain, probably more likely sleet, and then plain old rain. And that rain snow line continues to move north. That's about lunchtime or so. The back edge of the steady rain, the mountain snow and the strong winds start to move out around midday. We're still dealing with a pretty strong east-southeasterly wind through about noon, though. And our strongest winds will be at the coast. The afternoon will feature some improvement. I think we'll get a sunset in. Going on a limb, we're getting a sunset in tomorrow. The wind shifts over the west. It's still gusty, but it will be significantly less than what we have in the morning. So again, strongest winds 5 a.m. to about noon. All right, as far as snow goes, we're probably talking about a coating to an inch in the lighter shade of blue that extends from the east side and south side of Sebago Lake up into central northern York County. This goes up to southern Androscoggin County, a good chunk of mid-coast Maine, excluding the peninsulas and islands. You'll probably get a coating to an inch. Now, the Lewis and Auburn area, you're probably in the lower end of that 1 to 3. Augusta, you'll get into the 1 to 3, I think. The west and north side of Sebago Lake, you'll get into the 1 to 3. This is before the changeover. And most areas through the hills and mountains, including Bridgeton, including Freiburg, including Farmington, the Oxford Hills region, 3 to 6. And there'll be many areas that probably end up on the upper end of that. It looks like the higher elevations from the White Mountains in New Hampshire up to maybe Carrabassett Valley region, those areas get into about 5 to 10 inches of heavy, wet, pasty snow. And you add some wind in that, there could be some outages as the trees get weighed down. But the mountains, some of the ski resorts should really benefit from the storm system. Rain tracker takes us through the afternoon tomorrow, and no real changes here. Probably 3/4 of an inch, 2 inches of rain. Most areas, my guess, get about 1 to 2 inches of rain. So we should have efficient runoff. The ground's been cold. I think there will be some drainage issues, not as much or not as many problems as the last storm we had. Could be some stream issues as well. We still, of course, have a decent snowpack out there. It's not nearly as high as it was on Monday after the last storm, but we still have some snow out there. Um, and in addition to this rain, we'll have to deal with some of that as well, as temperatures will be warming to around 50 degrees. So we're looking at rain and snow melt together, producing potentially some flooding issues. The streams may become an issue, and we'll probably watch some of that poor drainage stuff as well. All right, wind tracker, strongest winds, again, 5 a.m. to noon. This is about 7 o'clock in the morning. And we're probably getting some gusts around 40 miles per hour in this window here. And this kind of highlights where our strongest winds are going to be. There's a few bullseyes here. You can see from central Maine all the way down to coastal York, coastal Cumberland County, and Rockingham County points east. These areas right here will get our strongest winds. And there's another max as we go back through the mountains as well. There'll be some spots in the White Mountains in New Hampshire, Western Mountains in Maine, elevated areas, and downslope areas on the west side of the mountains that will get into some strong winds. But it looks like most areas for coastal Cumberland, coastal York County get 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. I think from Casco Bay to Penobscot Bay, there's the potential for gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. We're seeing that probably around midday or so. You notice over toward Penobscot Bay, some spots around 60 miles per hour. And of course, that's enough for outages. And it's around this time we're dealing with the high tide too. I mean, this this is not great. This is really bad luck, in fact. When we get our storm surge or the strong winds coming together with the astronomical high tide. That's what you hope not to happen. But eventually your luck's going to run out, and that's what's happening tomorrow. It looks like the back edge of that strong east southeasterly wind moves out early afternoon. And notice how the wind shifts over to the southwest and west. It's going to be gusty during the afternoon from a different direction, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as the morning. So tomorrow's weather warned for coastal flooding and wind. I think Sunday will showcase a fair amount of sun. We'll get a sunset in tomorrow night, I think. It looks like Monday will feature some sun as well. Next storm, some question marks with that, the track of it. How amplified is going to get. Will it sneak to our south? Will we get it? Some question marks on that. But it looks like Tuesday's our next chance for getting some snow, and then maybe late on Friday. So hopefully after this storm, we'll get rid of this rain, wind mix, coastal flooding nonsense, and we'll just go back to fluffy snow. That would be that would be my preference here. But there's the chance for snow Tuesday and again late on Friday. Let's just go back to the beginning for folks just joining us on the Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for joining me on a Friday night. It's Friday night. So actually, let's look at the video one more time as I answer some of your questions. Maybe we can leave it on this video. I love this video of the blizzard of 78. Pretty cool to see that. All right, so let's see what people are interested in tonight. No more snow, Lisa says. All right. It's winter. We're gonna get snow at some point. Wind in Sanford, 30 to 40 miles per hour, Allie, I think. Doesn't look too extreme there. All right. A lot of roofs leaking, Scott. I hear you. No more rain, right? We need more trash cans. Yeah. I've seen a lot of our building did that too. Well, it has done that. We have a new roof now, so we're in better shape. But Isaac says, "Hey, Charlie, what's up, Isaac?" One of our viewers there, our loyal viewers and weather watchers. Isaac's always checking in. Thanks for checking in tonight, Isaac. Oh, Diane says she's ready for spring and summer. I'm with you. And maybe a real summer where it doesn't rain every day. How about that? All right, Sabatis doesn't want any more snow. Everybody's commenting on my snow comment, I think. All right, Janet, I take that back. All right, I prefer some snow. Let's take this video down. This is getting a little jarring right there. Let's bring up the graphic here. We'll leave it on this historic flooding graphic for a minute. And yeah, I know. Come on, Charlie. I know. I wish tonight we were heading into a sunny weekend, but nothing happening. When is it going to kick off? Precip kicks off 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. The wind kicks off around 5 a.m. Wind will be strong 5 a.m. to noon, and the precip's heavy stuff comes down through the morning, comes to an end early afternoon. We'll go through that, and now's a good time to go through that. Let's find that graphic, and we'll walk through that together, Kelly. How's that? Let's go through the timing of this. There's the storm. That's the graphic I made. There we go. This is what we want to see. 7 o'clock in the morning, there's the rain snow line. I think the precip gets in around 2-3 in the morning. So what are we? It's 8 o'clock. So, yeah, we're probably 4 hours out from Let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours out from precip beginning. It's been a long day if I can't do math, simple math like that. 6 hours out. Oh, man. All right. So Lisa says, "Oh, I froze up for a minute. Sorry, Lisa. Yeah, this internet connection's tough sometimes." You froze. Very funny. I like it. Yeah, in Harpswell, Carol, you got nailed. It doesn't look good tomorrow. In Harpswell. Yeah, I think we'll be having some crews up in that area tomorrow. Thinking of noon. This will be about the noon high tide. So not only are we dealing with the high tide at noon, but we're dealing with some rain and some strong winds as well. My fingers are crossed, Sue. Let's hope this thing. Hey, maybe this comes in less than the forecast high tide. That's the best thing you can hope for. But right now, looks 14.3, which would be the highest on record. Yeah, all right. Good. I'm with you. I didn't have any outages either on Wednesday. So I'm hoping I keep power. All the dead branches are broken. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't think this is going to be widespread outages, but scattered outages. I plan on that tomorrow. Please, no rain for Lisbon, Alicia says. I wish I could say no rain. Sorry, Alicia. We're going to get some rain. Snow to rain for you. Mark's checking in. Mark, if you're still watching, I received a wonderful fire poker for Christmas this year. So I understand you manufactured it for me. So thank you very much. Be safe down there. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, Lisa's a little worried about the wind. Yep, it looks similar to what we had the other day. Maybe a little bit less, Lisa, but it'll be windy. The difference in this one, the last one was mostly at night. If you slept through it, then the one, let's see, that was Tuesday night, Wednesday. I woke up to it a little bit, but it's always different when the strong winds happen during the day. It just feels more intense or something. I don't know. Maybe because I'm awake for it. Hey, Charlie, we will be watching Kenny Monk move back to Maine the summer of 78. Yeah, 78 was a big winter. The blizzard in February was big. It knocked the end off the pier. It was the ongoing current highest tide on record going back to 1912. So yeah, this one should rival that. Should be close. So if you're wondering what 78 looked like, here's some of the video from it. This is just a little clip I had. No, there it is right there. That's the pier at Old Orchard Beach, 1978. The end of it got knocked off. Thanks for checking in, Sharon. And yeah, 78 was a good year to move to Maine, I think. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Buxton rules. How much snow will Waterville get? Waterville gets 1 to 3, Patty. And then you'll change over. I think I put Waterville 1 to 3. Yeah. Probably upper end of 1 to 3. And they'll change over to rain. They'll just be kind of messy after that. Maybe not out surfing. Yeah. Let's hope we don't see surfers tomorrow. I'm sure somebody will. Everybody wants to know the mountains. So let's take a look at the snowfall amounts. All right. Hey, Monica. Let's check here. The mountains. 3 to 6. Hills and mountains, higher elevations, anything over 2,000 feet. I think we have a very good shot at getting 5 to 10. So yeah, but even there, it's going to mix and change over to probably sleet and then rain. It's going to end as rain. So it's that high density, pasty, wet snow. Not what you want to see. I want to go skiing, but not in heavy, pasty, wet snow that's going to turn crusty. But I guess that I can't complain. It's a good base, right? That's what we're looking for. All right. Speaking of skiing, oh, whoa, thank you very much. A very nice comment from Rosina. Thank you very much. Rosanna, sorry. And Carabasset Valley is checking in. Speaking of snow, thanks, Klein. You're welcome, Ashley. Thanks for checking in. How are we looking for Bridgeton? Brian says. Bridgeton gets into the 3 to 6. I think you sneak into it. You'll get into it. I think. Bridgeton always overperforms. Always gets a little bit higher than communities just off to the east. Definitely bad timing. I think Panda is referring to my comment about this is bad luck. It really is, because it's the highest tide of the month and it's a storm on top of that. And you hate when they all line up. But let's go look at the highest tides on record. And that's there we go. Those are the highest tides on record right there. And a lot of those happen during astronomical high tides just like this. So Oxford Hills, let's see who's checking in. Elizabeth here. I'm going to bring your comment up. There it is. Oxford Hills, 3 to 6. Hope that helps, Elizabeth. Oh, yeah. Tuesday's track's tricky. It looks like it's going south of us, Scott. So the center will go south, keeping the cold air in place. So that will be good. So that one, if we get it, it will be snow. Feel pretty good about that. Steven says he'll be taking photos from Ocean Point. I'd love to see the photos, Steven. Thank you. Be safe. Be safe. I mean, this tide is nothing to mess around with. It is going to be a mess, though. Will the roads be okay on Sunday in Lewiston, Diane? Yes. Sunday's good. Everything's dried out. It's going to be a little windy. There may be a late day snow shower, though, Diane. I actually forgot to put that in the 7-day, but could be a late day snow shower. Yeah, Jonathan, anything, if you had flooding on Wednesday in Port Clyde, you'll probably have it again. So yeah, down towards Marshall Point Lighthouse there. All right. Katahdin Crossing. Oh, thanks for checking in, guys. Oh, you want the forecast for Northern Maine. Yeah, I know this happened last time. I'll tell you what, our viewing area runs to about Waterville up to Rangeley. So I have to refresh this. Our viewing area goes like this. And I would put Northern Maine into this, but there's literally no one watching us on TV over there. So I hope that answers your question there, but I hope you can get a little bit of information out of this. Ask me some questions. I'm happy to answer. But there it is. You'll get snow. They're up in Katahdin area. You probably mix at the very end, but the winds won't be nearly as strong. And of course, you're not going to be getting coastal flooding. So that's good news. But I hope that answers some of your questions. I know that was a problem a few weeks ago. 14-foot waves in Port Clyde, 65 mile per hour. Yeah, jeez, that was not good. Let's go back to what we're expecting with this high tide, and we'll put this to bed for tonight and revisit this in the morning. Christian's actually in tomorrow morning. Christian's going to run the digital studio with us here on Saturday morning, and I think I'm coming in probably late morning tomorrow. And we'll have a newscast on Fox 23, CBS 13. I think it's at 11 to 1. Yeah, that sounds about right. And we'll have stuff on, we'll have the high tide here as well on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. All right. Let's take a look at the highest tide of the month is 11.2 feet. It's at noon tomorrow. Even without a storm, we would entertain the idea of some coastal flooding. Some minor coastal flooding, but you add a storm in on the mix, a 3 to 3.5 foot surge, not what you want to see. On top of an astronomical high tide brings us to a forecast high tide of 14.3 feet. And if that value is reached, it will be the highest tide on record in Portland, and it will produce major coastal flooding, infrastructure damage, significant beach erosion, significant splash over. There's a whole laundry list of problems that it's going to create here. So historic flooding is in the forecast. And I think we'll leave it at that. I hope I answered all your questions tonight, and I hope everybody's having a nice Friday evening. It's been a busy week, right? I mean, this is the third storm in 1 week. If you think of Sunday, Wednesday, and tomorrow. And we might get another one Tuesday, another one on Friday of next week. But that's a lot of question marks with those still. All right, we'll leave it there. We'll have more updates coming in. I'll have new information in the weather office on Fox 23 at 10, CBS 13, 11. Christian will be in with some updates first thing tomorrow. I think starting around 7 or 8 o'clock. And I'll be in probably late morning at some point. And we will have updates along the coastline from mid-coast Maine all the way down to coastal Cumberland and coastal York County around high tide. All right, be safe, everyone. Have a nice night.